In the autumn of 1878, deep in the Ozark forests of Missouri, a hunter named Eli Parsons stumbled upon something he would remember for the rest of his life. At first, it looked like nothing more than a pile of rags, dirty, damp, lying beside a moss-covered rock. But when he stepped closer, he realized it was a man, alive, barely. The stranger was exhausted, covered in layers of dirt and trembling from the cold. But what stood out most was his face, or rather the absence of it. He had no jaw. Where his chin should have been, there was a gaping void. His mouth, if it could be called that, had been sewn shut with some kind of dark wire. He didn't speak, and likely couldn't. So the villagers called him the Silent Man. The sheriff brought him to the town. He didn't resist. He didn't try to escape. He simply sat in the wagon, swaying slightly, his eyes empty. Doctors examined him and said the wounds were old. Someone had done this to him long ago, or he had done it to himself. In the village of Deer Hollow, no one used to lock their doors until he arrived. Because with his arrival, the disappearances began. First, a local farmer vanished, then a child, then a woman who taught Sunday school. People began whispering. Why had they taken in a man who couldn't even explain who he was? Why was there blood beneath his fingernails? The sheriff kept saying, he's broken, but he's not a killer. So they let him stay in the basement of the old chapel, and that's when the nightmares began. One boy claimed he saw the Silent Man standing outside his window just watching, unmoving. Another said he heard his voice in a dream. It's not words, but wet, clicking sounds. One day the pastor went down into the chapel basement and found the walls scratched, not at random. They formed symbols, circles, spirals, and most chilling of all, names. It's the names of the missing written in blood. It's not ink. A few days later, a woman named Abigail Hall came to the village. She brought a drawing, a portrait, of a young man. Sharp eyes, a clever smile. "This is my brother," she said. "He disappeared during the war." The sheriff shook his head. "Ma'am, we don't know who that man is. He doesn't speak. He's broken." But Abigail insisted. He was a doctor, a brilliant one. Until he became obsessed with silence. He used to say speech is filth. Sound kills thought. He vanished after declaring he would cleanse himself of the voice. Before he disappeared, he left a letter. When the mouth is sealed, only truth remains. A week later, near the edge of the forest, locals began digging up an old, abandoned well. They found bones. Dozens of them. Some animal, but some unmistakably human. All had one thing in common. Their lower jaws were missing, not shattered, not gnawed. Surgically removed, clean. That same night, the chapel burned to the ground. The Silent Man's body was never found. But in the ashes, they discovered a single object, a curved, fire-blackened wire, the very same wire that had sealed his mouth. After the fire, the forest was declared cursed. Families began to leave. The village vanished from maps. Now, all that remains is a moss-covered stone, bearing the words, "May silence keep what silence took." And yet, even now, travelers who pass through those woods say they hear strange sounds, not footsteps, not voices, but clicks, wet, deliberate, as if someone were clacking teeth. That aren't there. Was the Silent Man a victim, a monster, or something else entirely? No one ever found out. But his presence left a mark. Not a scar, but a chasm. Whatever came to Missouri in 1878 didn't leave. It simply went quiet.